Check one. Check.
Check. Check 1, 2. Check.
Mic check. Check mics. Check one.
My check's better.
Check one.
Check.
I think it sounds pretty good, baby.
We're ready.
All right. Welcome to The Riveted, everybody, with Chris and Gina.
Okay, listener, we're ready, but you're not ready yet. We got something for you to do before you can listen to today's episode.
Don't listen to it.
Not yet.
Yeah, don't listen yet. So here's what we want you to do. Take a minute and go listen to the song Soul Shine by the Allman Brothers.
Say it again.
Soul Shine by the Allman Brothers. Give it a listen and then come back to the episode.
All right, we'll wait. We'll wait on you.
We'll wait on you, yeah.
You think they're back yet?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, so everybody, I hope you enjoyed that song. Awesome song. Some of you may know it and have heard it before. If you haven't ever heard it before, I hope it resonated with you because there's a tie-in to that song with this episode this week that is going to blow your mind. This story is over the top. You're going to have to settle in, listen to the whole thing, just binge it because you think it's over and it's only getting going even more.
It is going to be a deep subject today.
It is over the top. So
let's do it.
Our guest this week is such an amazing guy. His name is Dean Gillespie. He's from the amazing state of Ohio, which we all know as Airstream lovers is the home state of Airstream Incorporated. But I'm telling you, when you listen to this story, you're going to realize that there is way more involved than just Airstreams being built in Ohio.
That's right. So turn that volume up and get ready.
So, Dean, without further ado, welcome to The Riveted with Chris and Gina.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with y'all.
Absolutely.
And Jackson Center is about 40 minutes from me.
Oh, not far.
How about that? Yeah. Well, you know, the thing that I think is cool about reconnecting with you is, you know, a few years back, we went to one of those kind of cool Airstream rallies where all the Airstreams park on the street and we all network with each other and visit with the local community and just have a big time. And this particular rally was in Worcester, Ohio. And you were down on the far end of the street from where we were. But as we walked down and visited with people and met people, obviously you and your rig was attention-getting.
Absolutely. It was wonderful seeing that.
And when we met you and talked briefly and saw your rig and enjoyed that visit, little did we know your entire story. And so we're excited to chat with you about it and reconnect again after almost 3 years. That was May of 2022. So we're bumping up on 2.5 years, or almost 3 years now. But we're glad to have you and glad to visit again on our podcast. So what's the best way for us to ask you your...
You're asking him to ask his own questions.
No, what? How do we ask you what your entry point was into Airstreaming? Like, tell us a little bit about...
Oh, that is a tough one.
Yeah, because listener, I'm telling you, when you hear this entire story, you're going to want to know...
More and more.
But Dean, tell us just what's your entry point into Airstream, and let's just go from there.
Well, my introduction to Airstreams as a kid was a lady my mother worked with, Mrs. Shepherd. They were hairdressers together. They had one of the big what is it, 33-footer?
Right.
Is that what they are?
The biggest
500?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They had one of those parked beside their house, and you know, you got this big, gigantic silver beer can sitting there by their house. It was just, you know, always interesting to look at. And it ended up, you know, becoming real good friends with him. He was the last living B-17 engineer. So he worked on B-17s and design, and he was an extremely well-known repair. He always repaired them too. And when he would go to Florida for the winter, and that's my first, Airstream. Man, those things are cool. Then I went on through life and had a little vacation spot in my life for 20 years, and come out and wanted to build an Airstream. But I didn't know the value and what they cost and all that. My parents bought one um, because it was a place that they thought they might have to live in, and it was a Bambi. Um, my dad bought it for $1,000, fixed it up, and sold it for $2,000. Thought he'd done real good on it.
Wow! Oh man!
Yeah, yeah. Geez.
So
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Mr. Shepherd and Mr. Shepherd. That's what got me, to looking at them and really liking them.
So about how old were you then, whenever you first saw Airstreams?
Still riding my bicycle around, I was 10, 12 years old, around the neighborhood.
Yeah. I think it's
and it
funny.
was always amazing. It was always amazing to catch him coming home and then backing this thing in beside the house, like just a little spot to back it in between the houses.
Yeah.
It's just like, how do you do that, man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing how some of these guys can drive those things.
Takes talent. What I think is interesting in your intro right there was that a lot of people say the silver. Okay.
Silver bullet.
Thank you. Silver bullet. And you said beer can. And I'm like, yes, that's awesome. I've never heard that.
Yeah, if you stripped one down and been inside of it in the middle of July, it's a sauna.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are you lifelong Ohio resident? Like you've always lived in Ohio?
5 years old. We moved up from Kentucky.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Paintsville, Kentucky. My parents moved up here. I was born in Ohio because my mom was visiting her sister and had the unfortunate fact of being a Buckeye, which I'd rather been a Briar than a Buckeye. But I went back to Kentucky 5 years, and then they moved up here, and I've been here the rest of my life.
Right.
Yeah.
So being able to grow up and see those Airstreams early in life, and then flash forward to having one now as an adult in later life and that kind of stuff. So, and the fact that Airstream's just so, I mean, it's a well-known brand in Ohio, but everywhere. But you definitely have a very unique Airstream. And tell us all about it. Tell us what you have, how you acquired it, and what's so special about it. To you and to really, to the Airstream community, because a lot of people know about you and your Airstream.
Yes.
So we have, me and my lovely darling Pam, we have a 1963 Trade Winds that we're the third owners of. The guy who I bought it from, he and his family, he was military. Him and his family were in a square dance club, and they went all over the United States square dancing with their Airstream in the 70s and 80s.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, just amazing. Been everywhere in it. And when I bought this thing, I'm looking around for the cheapest possible thing I could find because I didn't have nothing but a pocket full of lint balls. And nobody needed lint balls. So I ended up talking to Jack and talked him out of it. And he made me a good deal on it. But it's set for 16 years. And, everybody says Airstreams are this and this and that, they'll last forever. And they just, one thing I've learned, they all leak. I don't care if it's a 2025 or a 1931.
Yeah.
You got to find out where it's at. And so all the around the windows, and all that stuff was rotten. And I didn't know nothing about working on one. I built houses when I was 15 with a friend of my dad's for a while, and, understood construction. but these ain't the same as doing a house.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought it thinking, 90 days I could have this thing, turn around. It's a bedroom. But it took a year, and I stripped it to the floor, had to repair the frame. There was a shell on, which makes it more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, did the all the frame fixing, added support in the frame, and put that floor down. Once I got the floor down, it was pretty much easy after that. There's a lot of things I would change if I do another one, but just started making everything in it. I made the cabinets, I made the bed, everything, and I wrapped everything in aluminum. But my theme was World War II airplanes. So we live in Fairborn. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is here, which is third largest Air Force base in the world. And grew up around planes, don't know a whole lot about them, but they were always flying in the air around. And the Airstream fuselage look and all that stuff, the whole Airstream look of a fuselage. And I just thought, well, I made up a story that the person who had this Airstream was like a artist who would just travel around and paint nose art on World War II planes. And so I made the inside of this thing in that kind of mindset that, I've got two lights in the back on the wall that are safety lights, and they're not the same. Um, a lot of the stuff that I've got in there is handmade, and it's thrift. And the way they kept those airplanes in the war in the air during the war was whatever it took.
Right.
Not if it worked, it worked. And a lot of people don't even notice the two different lights. The bathroom door is made like an airplane door, and it slides side to side. And everything's wrapped in aluminum. The chairs, I built the chairs, which are they resemble the restoration hardware chair that's
Mm-hmm.
wrapped in aluminum with the leather.
Yep.
Um, those are like $3,000, so I knew I had to make those on my own. So I made those up, and I got a nose cone. We got a scrapyard here that saves a lot of different parts that people use for art. And there's a guy in Dayton that makes nose cones for airplanes, and there's piles of them that are not right. And he'll take a little hammer and ding them so you can't use them on a plane, but they're cheap. So I picked up 3 of those for $11 and made a coffee table.
Wow.
I used a metal shipping container, a clothing shipping box, to make a coffee table out of, and then made a base for it. And it's all riveted aluminum. The back sink is of just folded up aluminum, bent up aluminum to make the vanity that a $6 salad bowl sits in,
Wow.
and then a big faucet head. And then we made it a full size bed, and it's a full size bed. You don't put up and down because we didn't want to get into that. It's got nice floor. It's got the it's not teak, but it's fir wood mat in the back for the whole. So the whole bathroom is a wet bath. I got 2 drains in the floor, and I come up off the floor 6 inches with rubber roof membrane all the way in it, so you can just take a shower in the whole bathroom.
Right.
Um, so got the little bench in there, and the overhead lights, the metal part around the overhead lights is the original from '63,
Yeah.
but the cover is Pampered Chef pot lids because
That's pretty
they
awesome.
got a hole already in them. They're glass. They got a hole already in them, and they got the chrome trim ring around them. And I found them to fit right perfectly uh, in that can that's on the roof.
Yeah.
So it worked out perfect. And I painted those with the nautical compass in them, and they look really cool,
Yeah.
frosted, and there are
Yeah.
two colors of blue. Those worked out good. And then in the countertops, I have photocopies of World War II patches and B-17, B-25, F-4 schematics are inlaid into the countertop. and then all the different squadron patches. And then that's got bar clear on top of that, big coat of bar clear. And a lot of the like the schematic of a B-17, I was able to get Mr. Shepard to sign it. The B-25 is the Doolittle Raiders were B-25 airplanes, and those were suicide mission planes. So all the planes that went over didn't come back. And there's a group of guys who have reproduced those B-25s, and then they'll put those squadrons on the nose cone of them and stuff, and then they fly around the country, representing those guys that done that mission.
That is awesome.
It's a fantastic description of this.
And I remember seeing it, walking through it, and you showing it off to us back when we were in Worcester, and very impressive, amazing trailer. And I'm sure anybody that's seen it would agree with that statement that it's really amazing. But I would like to say,
well, the cool part about our trailer is coming.
Yes, and that's where I wanted to head, is that we're 15 minutes into this conversation, and I wanted to say to the listener that's listening to this podcast, you're thinking, well, vintage Airstreams are cool. Every one of them's unique, and this is a wonderful sounding Airstream. But this isn't the end of the story, folks. It's just the beginning.
We're just getting started.
So, Dean, tell us the name of your Airstream and how that came about, and let's just dive in.
Let's get it. Let's go. Let's go to where we're going.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. So, in the Airstream is called Soulshine. And it's called Soulshine after the Allman Brothers song Soulshine. And in 1995, I was 5 years in a 22 to 56 year prison sentence that I was wrongfully convicted of.
Wow.
And I spent 20 years in prison before the Ohio Innocence Project, based out of University of Cincinnati Law School, secured my release. And I am, as far as we know, the only person in the United States to be exonerated on two separate issues. One being a Brady violation where the officer destroyed evidence and got rid and hid evidence, and the other one is the fact that we found the person who actually committed the crime, who was a prison guard.
Oh wow!
Yeah. And it was at the prison right over the hill from where I stayed for 10 years.
Oh.
So, so in 95, I decided I was going to make a miniature Airstream out of just trash that I was able to find around the prison. And I started with a back of a writing tablet and the foil out of Bugler cigarette. You roll your own cigarette.
Yeah.
Right? Has a piece of foil inside of it, and it was, you're able to glue it because it's got a paper back on it. That and stick pins, and this started designing this Airstream. And I had done other various kind of buildings and stuff, but I just wanted to do this Airstream. And in my thoughts of just traveling the United States with my Airstream on the back of my truck, and just sitting in prison, just fantasizing about what I'm going to do when I get out. And
the power of visualization.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, it keeps your sanity. I had to find something to keep my sanity. The first few years in there was pretty rough. Of just you got to establish yourself, and I'm sentenced to a close maximum security prison, one of the most violent places you'll ever enter in life, and 70% of those people are not going home, and they don't care about you or your life or their life because they're done.
Right.
And the amount of the amount of death and the amount of trauma that I've seen is I had to figure out how to get away from it. And I started doing art and just dived into the music. Buddy of mine came over with a cassette tape, which only people our age understand what those are anymore.
That's right.
Yeah. So he had the cassette tape of the Allman Brothers' new album come out with it, and it had Soulshine on it. He said, "Hey, check his tape out." And I listened to it, and when that song came on, it just absolutely smashed me right in the mouth of like, holy crap, this is my life. This is what is, this is where I'm at in my life. And it's talking about when the candlelight of home burns so far away, when the moon ain't shining bright, you can't find your way. You got to let your soul shine. You have to shine to make it through your journey. You can't fall into the traps and the depression and the misery of what's around you, because you won't make it. So you have to keep your inner self positive, happy, and smiling to get through this. And when I heard the song, I was just like, man, and I've listened to this song, I can almost guarantee you, every single day since then. And it just had a huge effect on me, and a huge effect on the way I did the rest of my time. Like I say, I would be building things over and over and over, different kind of stuff, and that was always, I had to end up buying it off the dude and keep the tape. And it just that's what got me through, was doing my artwork in prison, and doing that Airstream with that song, coming home, knowing that I wanted to do an Airstream, and to find one is, it's a long time between 1995 and when I got the Airstream.
And I'm glad you said long time like that, because what resonates with me about that is there's no way that anybody can imagine what you went through during that period of time, knowing that you were in there and you shouldn't have been. But part of your existence was your connection to Airstream.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because it was the dream of coming out and being able to just get an Airstream and travel and see the things that I wanted to see, that I read about for so many years in all the different magazines, all these different places that, that are just monuments to America.
Absolutely.
That I wanted to go see. Now once you sit for a while in a room by yourself and learn yourself and think about your future, there's not many things else in the world that can deter you from being the one that wants to pursue your dreams, because you've lost, I lost 20 years of my life. I lost 20 years because of a person didn't like me at General Motors where I was working, and wanted rid of me. I lost 20 years of my life because of hatred.
Right.
And
Wow.
it's hard to accept, the reason that happened. But you can't dwell. I can't dwell on. I knew I wanted to get something that's going to make me happy and make me be able to go and do and pursue the things that I thought of and dreamed of from in there. And
I can't imagine. Let me just say this right off the bat. I can't imagine, Chris can't imagine what was going on with physically, what was going on with you being in prison, but mentally as well. And finding the art outlet, I think, is a beautiful thing. And I have read an article about where you found the art, or being able to do art, and you kind of had to fight for that just a little bit in the beginning, right? Because there wasn't any of that going on. Because we're talking about, everybody's thinking about nowadays, but we're talking about, back in the 90s, whenever you went into prison. And I'm sure you had to fight in order to be able to do art. And then in this article that I read, it said something about the prison guards or other people were taking your art from you. So like you couldn't even keep it there.
the first things I was building were made out of vanilla folders. I was building little houses, miniature houses out of vanilla folders, file folders. And, they confiscate them because they call them contraband. And they confiscated a couple of them. And I worked the maintenance shop, and I was able to, go all over the institution with my boss. And we did a job up in the warden's office one time, and there were two of my houses that they had confiscated. And I'm like, oh, I see how this works now. They didn't destroy this stuff; they took it to put it on display.
Yeah.
So then I knew then that I had a little bit of a wiggle room to start pushing, the envelope. And then I started, using the help of guys in other departments all over the institution to help me get more supplies. Each time we would present to the staff, I'd have a different building or project I'm working on, and they would never really say anything about it. They would look at each other like, because we got to the popsicle sticks and tongue depressors. We were able to start using those things. We convinced them that, we were able to do things with those, and they allowed that. And that's where, you need to understand and stress that it is years of,
Yeah.
working
Right.
the system,
And the thing that I'm sure I think is one of the most amazing parts of this story is where that art ultimately ended up, and for what reason. But I guess the way to kind of sum up the reason why you created art in prison, and then your inspiration in a way for some of the stuff you created was like that adventure on the road, some of the roadside destinations you might see while you're traveling the highways of the United States, and the Airstream that you created, and some of your other dioramas all had this. You were visualizing your future with making that art.
Yeah, I would spend my day and moving around the institution getting supplies of what I felt I was going to be needing for my project that I was working on. And once the door slammed, the door shut at 9 o'clock at night in the middle of summer, and you're looking outside for another hour and a half, 2 hours of sunlight, and you're stuck in this cell. You got to figure out what you're going to do all night. And so I would get all my supplies built up to sit there with my music on. I'd put that music on and start doing my work. And I'm telling you right now, man, I could be in Virginia or Arizona or Mexico or the mountains of Colorado. Mm-hmm. I was somewhere else. I was not sitting in Warren Correctional Institution in Moraine, right. Ohio.
Yeah.
We got into a process where we were able to, when our families came, we was able to fill out a form, and then our families could take it, carry it without having to ship it in the mail where it would just get destroyed.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Yeah, that helped a lot to be able to do it that way, and saved a lot of my stuff from getting destroyed, because it turned out to be a pretty big deal when I came home. Someone had seen it and discovered it, and asked a few questions about it, and then made some big things happen with it.
And what was that, Dean? What happened?
Well, so I had a friend that I was in there with. His cousin was a professor at the Rutgers University, and she wanted to do she wanted to do a book on prison art, and she put a show together at Rutgers. And he had told her about my stuff. She came up and looked at it and thought, yeah, I want to have this in a show. I want to do a show if you'd like to be in a show. And I'm like, sure. So the first thing that I ever got to do was go to Rutgers. Had 4 pieces that went there. She had me on these artist panels, and I'm with people who have this stuff in museums. One of the ladies I was on a panel with had a piece of art in the Smithsonian.
Wow.
And I'm sitting here on this panel like I'm at the wrong place here. You know, and this other guy, he had named off these other museums where he had his art at, and it was my turn to speak. And I said, I am pretty sure I'm at the wrong place, because my stuff's in my parents' garage. It's here and at my parents' garage. So anyway, that show went, and she moved from there to the University of New York, started working there, and she wrote a book called Art During the Era of Mass Incarceration. And she called and said, hey, would you like to put your art in a art show in New York? This book has gotten pretty big, and we're going to do a show in New York. Would you like to put your art in? And I said, look, Dr. Nicole Fleetwood is her name. I said, I don't care if I trust you with what you're doing. And so she said, well, great. She said, I'll come down and we'll pick out what we want to put in it and all. And so I am on the board of the Ohio Innocence Project. And, you know, one of the proudest moments for me to be on the board of the organization that saved my life, for the future decision making of it is, you know, that's going to be one of the greatest achievements for me. But on the board, I'm with some serious art people, art collectors. And one of the guys that's on the board with me has 4 Picassos in his house.
Oh my.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
So they know art, right? They know
Yeah.
art. One of the ladies on the board with me, Jenny Rosenthal, and her family has a museum. They're art collectors. So we're sitting there, and I said, hey, I'm going to be in an art show in New York. Some people's asked me to put some art in this show in New York, and I just need somebody to write something up that sounds smart in case somebody calls and asks me, because somebody had called before when I was at the Rutgers thing and asked a few questions, and you know, I'm just like, blah, blah, blah. I'm not an artist.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what to tell them. So I said, if somebody can, you know, maybe write up a little paragraph in case they call, I can just read it off to them. And the guy with the Picassos, he said, what museum is it, Dean? And I said, man, I knew you was going to ask me, and I don't remember, but it's Mini, Money, something like that. And he looked at me like, does MoMA sound right? And I said, yeah, that's it. MoMA. That's what it is. Everyone in the room put their pen down, and they were like, we need to explain to you what just happened to you. The
Uh-oh.
museum, the Museum of Modern Art in New York, as
Wow.
far as they're concerned, is the greatest contemporary art museum in the United States, if not the world.
Right.
You know, in competition with Guggenheim. And you will forever be known as an American artist. And I'm like, what the heck are you, you know, talking? So they
Wow.
explain. So I got trash that I made in Ohio prison system over 20-year period that went to the most prestigious contemporary art museum in the country. And I still cannot believe, you know, I have an art show tomorrow, opening up tomorrow in Dayton, Ohio. And I have one in Columbus that I'm part of that's opening tomorrow too. This art has been up and down the East Coast, all over the country. I can't get it in my head to even understand how this happened. But the craziest part of it is the little Airstream became the biggest item, you know, of the show, because it was one of the things they used to publicize a lot.
Yeah.
There was 2 pieces that were really the heavy publicizers, and that was my Airstream and another painting, and it turned into a humongous thing with it being that Airstream.
Congratulations, Dean.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That
Absolutely.
is fantastic.
It's been amazing.
And well, to hear you say that the Airstream was like one of the focal points makes I'm sure you're proud of that, obviously, but it ties together your younger life when you were incarcerated with the art that you were passionate about to get you through it, and the Airstream was what was some of the motivation to get you, you know, to visualize what your future was going to be like. The whole art side and where that art has gone is just another part of this amazing story. Right. And
the Airstream actually was at one point when the show opened, I was in every single art column that, if there was a magazine that had an art column in it, it was in there.
yeah.
And one of the big things was the Atlantic magazine had a full page of just that Airstream. And it was just like, oh my gosh, man. And some people actually took the article and blew it up and gave it to me. But it just looked so cool in that magazine, on that single page.
Yeah.
Being the only thing on there was that Airstream. And it's a little dinette. It's just a little like a hamburger food truck. I personally feel like I'm the inventor of the food truck in 1995 when I was making this thing.
I could see that being the case.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's around the time that the trend started where people started repurposing those things into that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So
before, how large is it?
Yeah.
Like dimensionally is
it's about 12 inches by maybe 8 10 inches tall and about 5 or 6 inches wide.
Right.
It's not very big. And it's only a half. It's like it's just chopped in half.
Yeah.
So in your wildest dreams, did you ever think whenever you were making that Airstream that all of this would come to fruition?
Here's the crazy thing. This, to me being called an artist, it never even entered my mind. I'm sitting here doing this stuff to exit this miserable world I was in mentally, and it was for the sole purpose of my sanity. And for it to come out and reach the audiences that it has reached is it just blows my mind.
Yeah.
But the thing that's happened is, I've got the wrongful conviction thing that I travel the world speaking. I've been to 5 countries. I've been all over the United States speaking about wrongful convictions. But then the art puts me in front of people who are in a whole different world, who don't understand anything about wrongful convictions.
Right.
And then being able to talk to them about that, during one of these shows it's just been a humongous help and push for our thing with the Ohio Innocence Project and the wrongful conviction issue across America.
Right. And the I can only imagine that the art and the creativity that you found within yourself while you were making that in prison helped you to become as creative as you were to build your real Airstream and design it and put it together by hand, just you.
Oh, I bet.
Restore it, put some of the unique pieces and aspects to it, and make it into what it is in real life. You got to have a creative flair to you in order to do what you did with the real trailer.
Yeah, everything about the real trailer is exactly the same as the art.
Yeah.
I used found objects all over that trailer. You use stuff. I used it was doing exactly the same thing as I did with the artwork on a full life-size scale.
Yeah.
And I think that's real. People ask me all the time, do you still do art? And that's, that's my rolling art.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Well, what a great testament it is to they always say one man's trash or one man's junk is another man's prized possession, right? So what you have done in smaller versions while you were incarcerated, but then also what you've done once you came home and you found an Airstream and you made it your own, and you're living that vision and you're showing people what's possible out there.
Yeah.
And I really hate that you had to go through what you went through, but wow, what you have made from that and how you've gotten out of your head and the things that you have created and the people that you've, had a chance to speak to now and what you're doing. It's unbelievable, Dean. And man, I honor that, and I honor you. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. So we've been chatting it up now 45 minutes and hearing your amazing story, and I'm sure the listeners thinking this is just unbelievable.
Yes,
I can't believe what I'm hearing, but the story's not over.
No.
I got one. Yeah. I got a doozy.
I'm telling you, I know you. I know.
I love this. I love this.
I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait.
Yes. So 1995, I'm sitting in there and building this little Airstream, and my buddy comes over with the tape, and the song just blew my mind. And so I finally end up getting mine, and I'm working on it. I'm down in the back of this thing. I done cut my leg up pretty good on a tool, and sweat just pouring off. It's July, sweat just pouring off, and my hair's all crazy. And I turned around and said, "Man, I got a great idea. We're going to call this thing Soul Shine after the song, and we're going to get Warren Haynes to sign this camper." And she looked at me like, "Oh, okay, great, honey." But it was the dream, and I come from the school of if you think it, you speak it, you can make it happen. And that's the way I always do everything. I tell people you can make a marble go to the moon if you want to. You just have to figure out how to do it. And so we get the Airstream done, and I start on a mission to try to track Warren Haynes down. And, I had no clue that how complicated it would be to try to contact a rock and roll legend. I mean, this guy was playing in the Allman Brothers as a kid, and he's been a force in the music world ever since. And I couldn't get no traction. I called every single person that had his name next to him on the internet. I was calling, trying to figure out how to get in contact with him. My girlfriend's son lived in Asheville, North Carolina, and we went down to Asheville. We was hanging out, and we went into the Habitat for Humanity. Guess who runs the Habitat for Humanity in Asheville, North Carolina?
Don't know.
Warren Haynes' brother.
Whoa.
Oh,
Whoa.
wow.
Right. Warren Haynes does a huge amount of charity work for the Asheville, North Carolina Habitat for Humanity, and built a whole bunch of houses and does concerts for to raise money for the Habitat. And I actually found out that he worked there, and I didn't get to talk to him when I was there, but when we was home, I decided that I'm going to have to figure out how to get a hold of Warren, and I might be able to do it that way. So we had tickets to a concert to see Government Mule, which is Warren Haynes's band. And it's at a venue right up the street here, about 3 miles up the road. And I decided, I tried and tried and tried, and I thought, man, I'm just going to try this, and called down to the Habitat in Asheville, and the phone rung and rung and rung. And I thought, well, I'll wait till an answer machine or somebody gets it and then hang up. And thank you for calling Asheville Habitat for Humanity. How can I help you? This is Brian speaking. And I said, Brian Haynes? And he said, yes. And I said, look, you got a crazy guy on the other end of this phone. Give me 2 minutes. And he said, go. And he just said, go. And I went, blah, 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 with all this stuff. And he's like, this is amazing. This is unbelievable. He said, I normally don't answer this telephone. He said, I'm glad I did. This is amazing. He said, I'm going to do everything I can to try to help you out here. But my brother has a whole, ritual that he does before he goes on stage, and prepping and everything. And I might not be able to get a hold of him, but when you get to the venue, go up to the will call and just ask. And sure enough, we were walking up to the will call window. We got a phone call from Warren's road manager. And that's when I pooped my pants.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh my God. She said, is this Dean Gillespie? And I said, yes, it is. She goes, hey, we're going to make this happen. Give me a few minutes and I'll call you back.
Wow.
And I lost my mind.
I guess.
And how long ago? How long ago was this? When was this?
This was in 19, I think.
2019. Yeah, okay. Right.
I believe that's.
So your Airstream, you had already finished it, right? It was completely done at this point. Okay.
Yeah. Get to go backstage, and here comes Warren. I'm crying like I'm 6 years old, and they stole all my marbles. I couldn't believe what was happening in front of me. And here he comes over, and I can't stop talking. I'm just blah, 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 just going on and on. And I'm showing him pictures of the little thing because his brother told him about it. And I'm showing pictures of the Airstream and the little one and all that stuff. And he's just like, man, that's amazing. It's amazing. And, and he shook my hand and he signed some stuff. And he said, where's it at? I said, man, it's right down the street. It's right 5 minutes down the road. When the concert's over, just come down. Me thinking I'm going to get Warren Haynes to come to my house.
Yeah.
Again, that's how naive I was. He said, if our paths ever cross again, just contact the road manager here, contact her, and we'll make this happen. I said, Warren, I'm not doing nothing tomorrow night. You're only 100 miles away. So he pointed to her and said, make it happen. So the next night, I get to go to Nelsonville, Indiana, Deerfield Park, 26,000 seat outdoor arena, sold out show, pull my camper in to behind the gate to where all the tour buses was. So I'm pulling in with my truck and my Airstream with all these multi-million-dollar Prevos and all these rock stars. It was the Avett Brothers and the Magpie Salute, which is the Black Crowes minus one brother.
Yep.
And just, amazing bunch of artists around, and being parked right beside. I called old girl, and 5 minutes later, here they come. Here comes Warren Haynes to look at my Airstream that started as a little model in 1995 in prison. And this dude's coming walking straight at me to look at this Airstream that was based completely on the name on his song that got me through prison.
Right.
That song got me through mentally. And he walked around and he looked at it, and he really dug the part of a lot of the stuff come from Habitat for Humanity, and how I'd use so much the junk. He sat in there with me for 40 minutes, just talking like we knowed each other forever. And I said, I need you to sign it right here. And above my door, I got a 1860 Morgan silver dollar, and beside of it, I got one more silver dollar, and the road goes on forever, which is from the Midnight Rider song.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I said, I need you to sign it right there. And he said, man, I hate to sign it right there by Greg stuff. He said, but I'm going to tell you something right now. Greg Allman would absolutely love this camper right here. He would love it. This is the type of stuff he dug. And so he signed it right above the door, just like I said was going to happen.
Yes.
Because I thought it, I spoke it, and I made it happen. And we now travel down the road officially as the Soulshine, the official Soulshine Airstream.
Yes, sir.
So I asked Warren Haynes. I said, Warren, is Soulshine on the set list tonight? And he said, this is billed as a Government Mule concert, and it's Dark Side of the Mule, which was his adaptation of Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd album, and he did the whole album his style. He said, so we're not going to play it tonight. And I said, well, I understand that. So Warren Haynes, the other groups come on, Avett Brothers and Magpie, and Warren Haynes come out, who gave us the tickets to be there.
Oh, great.
He comes out on stage, points at us, and kicks the concert off with Soulshine.
Holy crap.
Oh, wow.
It's hard to,
it's
hard to talk about every time. And the place went crazy. It's just one of those things that's unbelievable. Who gets something like that? And he played the song. They're a jam band, and they could play a song for 3 minutes or 30 minutes. And he played the song a pretty good minute, and I'm just bawling like a baby, just screaming and yelling to know in 1995 when I heard that song, to know that song for me that night.
Yes, that's full
because
circle.
of all of that. How do you do that? How do you get?
You manifested that,
It's
Dean.
just unbelievable.
Yes,
you sure
exactly.
Did.
Yes,
that's the only way you do it, and it's just
you manifested it. But I'll tell you this right now, I feel like all of that amazing experience came to you as a reward, as retribution, as a way to help right some of the wrong, and just make your life as good as it could possibly be, the experiences be as amazing as they could possibly be, because you had so many bad ones. And I'm speechless.
Yeah. I was over here shaking at one time, and tears in my eyes. I mean, this is beautiful.
I just can't imagine. I mean, we love live music. We love music in general. We use music a lot. And to hear your story and know how it was a motivator for you, and how it allowed you to connect the passion of Airstream, the music, the man that wrote the song, all of it together. I'm telling you, buddy,
it's powerful.
That is a powerful, powerful story.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's I always thought I would take anybody in the free world's worst day with a smile on my face.
Yeah.
And I'm going down the road to my Airstream, and actually we went up to Michigan to one of the events up there, and had a blowout. And I'm changing the tire on the side of the highway, as happy as I could be because I'm living the dream.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Living the dream. And coming back home from there, back home, blowed out the other tire on the other side, and the same thing.
Yeah.
That was a bad day. It done some damage on the
And
second
it
one.
was still a better day than some, right?
Yeah.
It's a better day than 20 years of them that
Yes,
I've
sir.
seen. And you got people that sit around and just complain and complain about their life, and there's too much out there, man. Get an Airstream and go see the world.
Hey,
Go
I
out
like that.
and live life to the fullest. You only got one trip.
That's right.
You're right.
Yeah.
And that's one of the motivations or inspirations to us having this podcast was that we know that lots of people have had positive benefits from adding an Airstream to their life, and we wanted to chat with them about them, and so this podcast is a way for those stories to get out there to the world. And your story is obviously one that has been in the forefront of the Airstream community for a good number of years now. But we just feel so fortunate to have walked down those streets in Worcester, Ohio, visiting with all of the other Airstream owners that were part of that rally, and then we stumbled upon you're sitting out in your chair in front of your trailer, and we visited for a minute and just heard a fraction of the story you just told just now, and we were impressed just with that little bit of story. So
we saw the signature.
We saw the signature.
We did.
Yeah. So we just are so very, very glad, very proud, very humbled actually to know that you came on our podcast to share it, and we hope that everybody that listens to this podcast will be will get the same feelings we did, and be inspired to know that they can live their best life too if they what'd you say if they think it and they speak
speak it. Make it happen.
That's right.
Make it happen.
That is awesome. That is amazing.
I like it. I think that's the title of this one.
Now, now the second part of the 1963 Airstream is going to debut this spring.
Oh, good.
And it's a 1953 Chevy wagon that I'm building to tow that Airstream with, and that's going to be my tow. That'll be the tow vehicle.
Oh my gosh!
So you think you'll finish it by springtime?
Yeah. I am bound and determined to have it this spring on the road, and that will be patina. I'm leaving it patina. The car body will be patina.
Yeah.
But everything else on it is modern, huge horsepower, big brakes, all the big stuff. Yeah. And that's what they towed them with back in the day, the station wagons and the big Cadillacs and cars.
Yep.
Yes.
That will be one heck of a rig rolling down the road.
Oh, now, I can't wait.
Now, can I make a request? Well, maybe you said a lot of it's going to be modern, so I guess so. Like, you'll have a radio in it good enough that you can like play a podcast through, I guess, right? So like you can listen to our podcast going down the road.
Right. Yeah. There's definitely going to be something in there.
He's going to be playing music.
Hey,
yes.
I can only imagine that the first song you play in that car is going to be Soul Shine.
You know exactly what it's going to be.
Yes.
It's going to be Soul Shine.
Yes.
On a tree-covered tunnel.
Yeah.
With a smoky burnout with the Airstream on the back.
Oh my
Soul Shine playing.
Wow.
I want to see that photo.
Specifically a photograph session to get the whole rig in Hot Rod Magazine.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Think it, speak it, making it happen.
Yes.
Well,
okay.
We can't wait to see it.
No, I'm going even deeper. When that happens, we want an invite to when and where, and we will be there.
Yeah.
Yes.
To see that burnout.
Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is that's really cool, and I can't wait to see that finished product. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. And I did have the Airstream in Airstream Life. I think you'll have to remember what issue it was. If the listeners want to get the Airstream Life, they can go back in their stacking.
We'll put that in.
We'll put that in the description. But so Dean, what's next? I know you're working on your car, but what's next for you?
Yeah, that's next to get the Airstream done, and the wagon done, so we can hook it up to the Airstream. and just go show off and be big shots and act stupid and hang out with the cool Airstream people.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
So I'm gonna back up a little bit because I wanted to ask this earlier and I didn't get around to it. But so the little Airstream, the art Airstream, and some of your artwork, is it still in the museum right now? Is it traveling? Is it up for sale? Is it worth like gazillion dollars?
It's bound to be worth millions now.
What's going on with all that?
So the artwork is no longer. It did a 3-year tour with the that show, Art During the Air Mass Incarceration, and it went to several museums. It came home, and actually tomorrow night, those 5 pieces that were there, I've got a show in Dayton, Ohio. That's a one-night fundraiser for the Ohio Innocence Project, and we're showing them there. My art is not for sale. I have no desire to sell any of it. It went to MoMA and got famous, and the value has gone through the roof. It's crazy to think about.
I bet.
When it left my parents' garage, I filled out a $150,000 insurance policy, and when it came back, those 5 pieces, I had to do a $600,000 insurance policy.
Unbelievable.
I still had 3 pieces at another show, and another piece in California at another show. I've got, like I say, that's 9 pieces that are worth $1 million, and they're in my parents' garage. And I got curators all over the country screaming and yelling at me, but that's what I got right now,
Right. But now your parents' garage is in an undisclosed location in like another country, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just dumbfounded me. When the MoMA show opened in New York, the very first week, which I said, and it's on my tags for the art, not for sale. I had $150,000 offer on the little Airstream off the bat.
I bet.
And that was, and I didn't have a dime. To pass that kind of money up was really hard to do. My parents were buried in debt, and but it's all I have to show for 20 years of my life that was taken away from me. I go over to my buddies' houses, and they've got their homes, they've got their kids, they've got their careers, everything they built over that time, and I only have this trash that I turned into art. That went to the most prestigious contemporary art museum in the country, to show for the 20 years of my life that were stolen from me, and I cannot sell it. I have been offered lots of money, but I can't. I just can't do it. I cannot.
I totally understand, but I have one more question, then I'll be quiet so Chris can talk. But I could talk all night with you. So, what did the invitations look like to the security guard and the warden when your art made it to New York?
It's interesting because they're doing a film right now about this whole deal.
This gets even better. Listen,
it should be done in 2025. It's been in production for a couple years, and so it's going to be fantastic, a documentary. So the filmmaker actually has made contact with the warden from the prison, and we're going to have a meeting and just just have a chat with him about those 2 pieces of art that he stole from me.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
So it's going to be interesting. Hopefully this film, it's going to get out to more people and be able to talk about more about the wrongful convictions, and those prison people, boy, I have a problem with that.
I understand.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Well, Dean, we can't thank you enough for being on our podcast and giving us some time. And I feel I'm very special to know that you came on and shared this, and we're just excited to know you. Hope we can't wait. I mean, we just can't wait to hopefully see you again in person down the road at another rally or some other type of event, and be able to spend a little more time together, have a chance to visit and reconnect. So thank you so very much for the time. And
we feel very honored, Dean, and good luck.
I appreciate it. Appreciate you asking me. I want to finish off with the wrongful conviction thing. That I'm just a regular guy. I was just a regular guy living my life, and this happened to me, and it can happen to any single person that is listening to this or in the world. This has happened in the United States, documented as someone who's been completely and fully exonerated. There is 3,649 people who are on the National Registry of Exonerations in America.
Wow.
And that goes back starting in 1989. And those people on that registry, first, to be on the registry is an extremely high standard to be on there. So the amount of people who are actually been wrongfully convicted, who didn't take a deal or things like that, are not on the registry. So that number is really not as accurate as it should be, but that gives you an understanding of these are just regular people who were minding their own business, and something had happened to make them a suspect in this crime. But the staggering part of this whole thing is, of those 3,649 people, they spent 32,750 years in prison.
Whoa.
Wow.
Combined. When you start thinking about that number and the number of people, it's an appalling thing to have in America, a society that's supposed to be the greatest society, to have those staggering numbers. We got the largest population of people in prison in the world. They're figuring anywhere from 5 to 8% of those people are innocent. We've got 290 some people who are on death row for crimes they did not commit. I have a friend who was on death row for 20 years. He had 6 times they were going to execute him and ask him what he wanted for dinner that night. That's hard to talk about. What he faced and what he's seen. From what I've seen, this is a problem that has to stop. But these are the type of platforms that can help make this awareness build greater and greater. And this Airstream community has really embraced this subject, and everywhere we go. And I really, really do appreciate everyone in the Airstream community listening to my blabbering mouth all the time when they see me. It's a problem we got to solve, and it's really nice to talk to people who are traveling the world, traveling the country, who can spread this, about this story and about this.
Thank you. Matter. Well, we thank you for that, and very well said. And one of our aspirations, obviously, is that the Riveted with Chris and Gina podcast becomes the podcast of the Airstream community. And there's a lot of us in the world.
Yes.
A lot of Airstream enthusiasts in the world, and passionate people, and so we hope to get that out. And your story is one that cannot there's no way it cannot get somebody's attention.
That's right.
And so thank you again for that. Thank you for the time. And
thanks for sharing.
We can't wait to see you down the road as soon as we can. All right.
Yeah, y'all come see us. We're open all the time.
All right, buddy. Thanks, Dean.
Thank you, Dean. We appreciate you very much.
Yep. See you soon. See you down the road.
See you down the road.
Listener, do you see now why we wanted you to go listen to Soul Shine by the Allman Brothers before you checked out this episode? That's an amazing story, right? I encourage you now to go listen to that song again. Something tells me it's going to hit you a little different this time.
After you listen, join us on our Facebook and Instagram. Find the post about this episode and let us hear your comments and thoughts. If you can't reach us there, send us a message at info@therivetedfox.com.
We'd love to hear what you think about what you just heard today, because this was probably one of the most amazing stories we've had on the pod so far. So we sure hope you enjoyed it. I know we did. It was a long episode, but well worth the time spent, and we can't wait to have you come back on another one.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you down the road.